Yo, what's going on today, guys? I'm back here for another video. This time I'm going to be going over the top 10 decks currently in the meta. So yeah, I took deck lists from Limitless of the best performing placement from all of these decks. So all these decks you see, the reason they are this specific build, like I said, they are the best placements for each specific deck. Obviously, there are many decks that can have a little bit of variety in the support card, maybe the Pokemon ratios. So just remember, you could always change these deck profiles just a little bit, but the core concept is basically what I'm trying to show you guys. And no specific order, by the way, for this, but first one we have Water Celebi, Water Celebi Leafeon, which has been doing really good. Yeah, I mean, it's just Leafeon and Celebi. You know, Leafeon is the new partner. It's like how Executor used to be with Celebi. You hopefully get Leafeon in the active spot, start attacking 70 damage, and then we set up Celebi in the back, so Celebi can hopefully get the final KO that we need, flipping up to like 5 to 7 coin flips. And because we can play water energy, because Leafeon can put the grass energy you need, you play dual energy, you play grass and water, so you have access to Irida. So some builds still do play something like this with like 2 Iridas and 2 giant capes. Personally, I switched to 2 Rocky Helmets and then 1 Irida and then 1 XP, just for those games where you do start with Celebi first. And you actually do have also Eevee and Leafeon. You want to basically swap Celebi on and start attacking with Leafeon as fast as possible. So that is something to keep in mind. But yeah, I mean, you have a bunch of healing support. Basically, you know, just like I said, you just attack with Leafeon. And eventually Celebi, or you could go in the Celebi early if Leafeon's still alive, if you have like a decent amount of coin flips on it. So yeah, that's how the deck is played, and it's good. It's definitely not the top though. It definitely can struggle against those top decks that we will get into later. So next up, we actually have Rampardos. Rampardos is probably the second best deck in the game right now. It has a really good matchup into a lot of the meta. And the number 1 deck is Arceus, and Rampardos has a really good matchup. Not only that, but with the access of Sudowoodo, the deck got better, because Rampardos was always like a pretty good deck. It was like the top 20 range. It also did win an Arceus actually last patch too, back when it wasn't even close to the top 10. But with the addition of Sudowoodo, fighting types have a 1 energy 50 damage, as a lot of the decks in the current meta are focused on EX, such as 18 card Articuno, 18 card Palkia, Dialga, Arceus, Leafeon, Celebi. So 1 energy for 50 damage is really good, and we also, you know, have access to both Lucario and Marshadow, 2 really good cards. And Rampardos is the fossil. The only bad part about this deck is the consistency. Sometimes you just don't draw the fossil card, and you can get screwed over, but sometimes you can win without actually needing Rampardos. Like, Rampardos is nice, but you can definitely win just with Lucario, Marshadow. Some builds run 2 Sudowoodos and no Marshadow, so that is something to think about. And some play 1 Pokemon communication and like a Leaf or like a second Sabrina. So like I said, you could always just change these ratios. But another thing about so the nice thing about Rampardos is that 130 damage, obviously with Lucario does 150. Even just by itself, it knocks out Arceus if they have the weakness, and then with Lucario we do one-shot it even with the giant cape. Next up, we have the best deck in the game, which is Arceus Dialga, commonly paired with either 2 Shaymins or 1 Mew. Shaymin is here for the ability to heal 10 damage. You know, it's just nice against those Articunos, or, you know, sometimes healing using Shaymin and like the potions can let you live those extra hits you do need to win the game. But Arceus is extremely broken, doing up to 130 damage for 3 energy. Colorless, so it could be literally played in anything. It wasn't like Pikachu, where Pikachu was restricted to electrics. And then yeah, because we're playing Dialga, I mean, we could play anything. Like, we played Mew literally just because it's another metallic turbo target. And because this deck is literally all basics, you can play so many support cards. So you can play potions, Sabrinas, Cyruses, Giovanni. Some people play 2 Sabrina, some people play 1 with the Giovanni. Some people play Dawn, so you can go into heavy impact on Dialga. Usually people play the giant cape. Basically, it is better in the mirror match, so you actually can't get like Geo'd by an opposing Arceus on your Arceus. So, although some do play the Rocky Helmet, so you can definitely change that. Next up, we actually have the 3rd best deck in the game, which is actually 18 card Articuno. Not much to say. You play 2 Articunos, you play 2 Misties, you play 2 Iridas, you play some play 2 Pokeballs just to actually find the second Articuno. Some play 1, obviously to progress the research, and then everything else, the Sabrina. I mean, 2 Sabrinas is kind of like mandatory, not really, but I mean, there's not really a lot of support cards. Some people don't play blue, some people play 2 Geo, some people play Mars, some people play red card. Very simple. I mean, the deck is it's the easiest deck in the game that's, I mean, even Dialga and Arceus is easy, but I mean Articuno, all you do is you place Articuno in the active spot, you attach energy, and you just use support cards when you need to use them. If you need help, you use Irida. If you want Misty flips early, you use Misty. If you need a Sabrina summon, you use Sabrina. I mean, it doesn't take much. I mean, it's literally just 2 Articunos. There's really not much depth to the the deck. So it's like, and there's actually another top 10 deck. Real quick, let me just do it, which is 18 card Palkia, literally the exact same deck as 18 card Articuno. Instead you play Palkia. So yeah. And like I said, you change the ratios. Next up, we actually have a remainder from last season, which is Darkrai Magneton. Darkrai Magneton is still a pretty good deck, as it is all basics besides Darkrai, so usually your opponent has to knock out 3 things. The downside is a lot of things now live a Magneton attack and a Darkrai, so a little bit annoying. I feel like people are more obligated to play Kangaskhan now instead of Druddigon to threaten that offensive damage in the beginning that might be useful against those Dialgas and Arceuses. Not only that, but you know, Kangaskhan is just good. Sometimes you just land a double heads and knock something out, bro. Like especially against the fighting decks. I think the fighting decks are definitely kind of annoying for Darkrai, you know, as Magneton and Kangaskhan are weak to those. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's just Darkrai and Magneton. It's the same thing it's been doing. You have Kangaskhan in the active spot, you have Darkrai doing chip damage, you build up your Magneton/Magneton, and whenever that's ready, you go into it and you start doing damage. Next up, we have the only remainder from Genetic Apex, which is just Charizard. Some people play one Shaman for the healing, basically, I think just to negate like Articunos and stuff, but some people just run pure like Charizard Moltres only, just, you know, add in like another support card somewhere, maybe like a potion instead of the Shaman. I mean, the thing about Charizard is that, like, yeah, the only thing that's really bad is the consistency, both with Moltres flips and obviously, you know, drawing into stage 2. But if you could actually just get Charizard online, I mean, it's doing the same thing Charizard's been doing. It's just one-shots everything in the game. So I don't see Charizard ever kind of going away. It's always going to be one of those decks that are good. Like, there's no real downside to playing it, unless maybe the meta is like super electric focused. But like even back then, people still played Charizard when it was electric focused, like even though Moltres was taking more damage. So yeah, I think Charizard is just one of those remainder decks that will probably like always be meta relevant, unless like something like power creeps the hell out of it that is just like 200 damage as well, but it's like a stage 1 or something. Next up, we have I would say more of like a paired Palkia deck with the Vaporeons and the Manaphy. It's like the more traditional one. And yeah, some people play Articuno, some people don't. Some people just play, like I said, Manaphy, Palkia, and Vaporeon. Articuno is just like another nice option that you can play. This deck is actually weird. I did copy this one from Limitless. I feel like personally I'd play like 2 Misties and like probably like 2 Iridas, because this one doesn't even have Sabrina. I mean, but that's also why you're just seeing people play 18 card Palkia, because you can just play like every single support card, and then all you need to do is like land like a couple Misties here and there, then you could just like easily sweep your way to top cut. Next up, we actually have another Arceus deck. This is going to be Crobat Heatran Arceus. So usually this deck is run with fire energy, so you can attack with Heatran, although like dark energy would be nice occasionally for the Crobats. Crobat's a stage 2, so you usually don't even attack with it, plus the Golbat's colorless, so if you ever do attack, you can attack with that one. But the thing about Heatran is when Arceus is in play, you do get a free retreat, and also you can do 80 damage as long as Heatran has damage on it, which is, you know, usually most of the time, as it's the tank. Once Crobat is set up, Arceus can threaten 160 damage a turn if the, you know, the bench is maxed out and Arceus can attack. 2 giant capes, like I said, for the opposing Arceus, and let Heatran and Crobat sometimes like live a hit. Done, so you can attack with Heatran and then retreat for free. Go to Arceus 1 turn earlier and knock something out. Yeah, it's pretty simple. That's just how the deck is played. It's very good. Yeah, I mean, it's probably the best Crobat variant. The Darkrai variant is just, that I actually uploaded on my channel, is like fun, but it's just, this is just way more consistent. Plus, you're not playing as many Pokemon, so you have more room for support cards. Celebi and Executor is still a deck that some people are choosing to play over Leafeon. The thing about Executor is that it is better going first, and it has like higher burst potential. I mean, going first, landing in 80 heads with Executor can sometimes usually knock out the basic Pokemon in the X spot, giving you a huge advantage in the early game. Where Leafeon Celebi is more of a late game sweeper. Like, yeah, If you go second, you can attack with Leafeon, very good. But Leafeon, you know, 70 damage honestly kind of sucks. Like, I know it's only 10 less, but like it does matter. Sometimes you can't like one-shot like a basic Pokemon. So Executor is like way more burst potential in the beginning, where Leafeon is more of the end game. Celebi has like a bunch of energy on it, and then hopefully once Leafeon faints, you sweep with Celebi. So yeah, this is the other like top 10 deck. An honorable mention I actually wanted to talk about is like Gallade. Gallade is like very like actually like pretty well positioned into the meta, where it actually wasn't like, it was decent last, like it was all right last patch or like season before the mini set. But with everything basically being on high energy deck right now, like a lot of things have like 3+ energy. Like Gallade got actually a buff from just everything else existing and coming out. So Gallade is actually pretty like, yeah, like I said, it's like pretty good position. Probably the best stage 2 Pokemon that's just not Charizard. That's an EX. So I just wanted to give it an honorable mention because I thought it was really cool, because I always thought Gallade was cool. It just was kind of like last season, but like just because of the meta shift, it like actually is pretty good now, which is I think is pretty cool. Yeah, but anyways, that is the top 10 decks with the honorable mention of Gallade in the game. I did this video before and I just wanted to do an updated version with the new mini set. This is obviously currently as of 3/7, March 7th. So if the meta shifts, obviously the top 10 decks may be different. But as of now, these are the best decks in the game. And yeah, I mean, the main one is just Arceus Dialga and Rampardos. So those are like the two main ones right now, with 18 core Articuno and Palkia being a thing. Actually, one more honorable mention real quick, because there's actually a new Palkia version coming out. So this is actually the very last deck. This is looking like it's going to be one of the new meta decks as well, probably going to be replacing the Vaporeon version. You have Manaphy, Palkia, and then the two origin form Palkias, and if you don't know what it does, it's 3 energy, 60 damage. If you land a heads, it does 60 more damage, so potentially 120 damage, which is very good. Also it's a basic Pokemon. So this is actually rising and it's been doing very well in tournaments. I'm seeing a lot of especially on the Japanese side, I feel like a lot of people are playing this deck over there. So that is the last honorable mention. But I mean, there's 3 meta relevant Palkia decks. Palkia is just broken. Water decks with the introduction of Irida are just it's probably the best type in the game. I'm gonna be 100% honest. Palkia, Manaphy, and then Articuno just like are carrying that type right now with the support cards. Anyways, yeah, those are the top 10 decks, top 12, you know, 2 honorable mentions. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys like any of these decks, or like if you guys like these type of videos in the comments. And peace out and have a lovely day.